All right, look, the Bitcoin bottom may be in. The Bitcoin bottom may be in unless this one thing happens. And in this video, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna break down why the Bitcoin bottom may already be in, but also what invalidates it. So you know what to look out for, and so you can profit as much as possible with the least amount of risk. And look, I'm not just a YouTuber. I've been in crypto since 2017, not just as an investor, not just as a trader, but a C-level executive, consultant, author, and speaker. And in 2022, I predicted the Bitcoin bottom at 15.6K exactly, documented, and winning me a bet with Gareth Soloway. I called the bottom 2 or 3 months before it even got there, and I'm going to attempt to do it again today in 2026. And I wanna make you a bet that we don't get down to 12K. I wanna make a $100 bet, which is not a lot of money. So whoever wins has to make a video of him eating the meal, telling the other guy he's a loser. So okay. I'm looking at the bottom at 17.5K. If we break that, I'm looking at 15.6, 16,000. That for me is probably my worst case scenario. Now, to be quite clear, this is a very early call attempt on my behalf. So there are certain caveats, there are certain things to look out for. But so far, I'm seeing something here, I'm seeing a pattern. So with that said, let's get straight to the chart, then I'm gonna explain the macro thesis why we have a bottom in Bitcoin, or at least a temporary bottom with a bear market rally that can be quite significant, and then we're gonna look at that signal that would mean this is negated and we need to exit. So bear with me and let's get straight into the charts. So as you can see here on the factor line, we actually called this bounce over here at 60K and we entered at $62,000. We called the rally to the top of this range, which we got there, and then said we were waiting for a higher low, which we got. Now the factor line told you to buy here, which was a perfect entry, and confirmation over here, and it's currently still gold. And as you can see, the price is following. Now we said right about here that the price needs to come above the range, come back down and bounce off this top of the range over here, which it did. And we're looking for a move to resistance of the previous bottom range over here. And so far, so good. That's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what's playing out. Now, let me show you what confirms this and what negates this and what to watch out for this summer, so you know if the bottom is already in or if we're gonna go down to lower levels, what those lower levels may be and how to play these lower levels. So let me just get rid of all this real quick so this is more clear. And what we are waiting for is for price to come up here and make this previous range over here support. This is your number one level, around 80K psychological. I know the number's a bit different, but we always go to the closest psychological number when I do my technical analysis. So if this becomes support and the price continues to come up and passes the previous high from the breakout, and makes that support, then you're looking for a move to the previous mid-range over here, or even a move to the top of the previous range over here. And this is what we were calling for one last move before the bear market starts. We didn't get that, but this is what we were expecting. And it might just play out now. As you can see, the trend stacker over here is gold, which means volume, momentum, and a couple of other factors are actually in our favor over here. So this would mean that our call of 60K, which we said we'll get to if we break the range, which we did, may indeed be the bottom, and we may have actually called this perfectly. Now, does that guarantee that the bottom is in? No. Obviously it doesn't, but the probabilities are there. The probabilities are there as long as we can get above 80K and make that 80K support. This will signify either the bottom being in for 2026 or we're having a bear market rally. But people don't understand that bear market rallies can be quite significant even for altcoins, giving you massive amounts of profit. So it's actually worth playing this move. That's why we got in with our private group. That's why I was making videos to get in with stop losses under those levels. Does that make sense? So right now, we're in a certain range. We're in a certain new range, or a new range is forming, and this is where things get vital, and this is where things require your attention. Hey, Paul from the future here, real quick. Do me a favor, this video is not sponsored, and I understand that a lot of you may not be able to afford the factor line or my indicator or my services, but do me a favor, if you appreciate these videos, if you see the hype button, there's a hype button, please click it. It will really, really help me out. Or if you don't see it, at least click the like button. I hate asking for this crap, I really do, but bear markets are also tough on us because we don't get views. As you can see, my views are a fraction of what they are. Sponsors stop sponsoring videos because of the views, and of course, products and services, they don't really sell. So I'm also in the personal bear market here. So please, please, please hit the like button or the hype button. I would really appreciate it. And with that said, let's get back to the video. So if you zoom into the 4 hour here, you can actually see a bit of a clearer picture. And the 4 hour confirms the daily chart over here. So this is actually quite significant. Now, you can draw a line right here and call this a resistance range over here, okay? Now, don't let this confuse you. Hear me out over here. If we reject and we start coming down from this level and break under the previous range over here, that would significantly raise the probabilities of a bear market continuation. So you would exit until proven otherwise. And of course, if this line breaks, if this line, support line over here breaks, then we can go significantly lower to the 40 or 50K level. But if we break up and make this 80K psychological support, then we can expect more upside. And as I said, if this is a bear market rally, we can go significantly higher and it can turn into a bull market very easily. Hourly chart confirms this pattern because we want to look at the range over here. Let me delete these drawings again. As you can see, resistance from prior support all the way. This is a range. Factor line told you to buy right here as soon as this resistance became support. Remember, every resistance that breaks and confirms becomes support. And as you can see, the factor line is giving you a range right in here. And what we're waiting for is for this range to break and become support, and that support level is at 79,000 and some change. And of course, we always go to the psychological number of 80K. Therefore, that confirms our thesis on the 4 hour and daily. Now, don't get confused. I understand this might be confusing if you don't know TA. That's okay. That's okay. If you want to learn TA, learn how I trade, how I invest, trade, and think, plus get access to the factor line. I'll leave a link in the description down below and a QR code you can scan right here. I'm not going to talk about the factor line or the course in this video. Check it out, see if it's for you. I'm just going to tell you what I am doing and what you should do and my thesis on why the bottom may be in. This needs to become support, break, and then we have more move to the upside like I explained. Now, let me tell you the thesis on why I believe the bottom may already be in. Number one, the price dropped from $126,000. Okay, we dropped what, 50-ish% right now. And Bitcoin usually falls 70 to 85% in bear markets. But you have to understand that it's a bit different this time. Why is it a bit different this time? Well, it's very simple. Because Bitcoin may fall 85% normally in bear markets, or should I say 75% to 85% in bear markets. But the difference is previous years, the dollar was stronger. The dollar was stronger. So even though we fell 50% or 50% and some change, it's more like 60, 70%. So we already got a significant drop in Bitcoin. It's just skewed in numbers because the dollar is weaker. And because the dollar is weaker, Bitcoin is actually stronger, if that makes sense. So we may already have had the drop that we were expecting. That's number one. Number two, we actually got all-time highs in Bitcoin before the halving. And if you remember, we predicted this perfectly. We said we're gonna reach all-time highs before the halving, and we did. We did that. So if you take the amount of time from then till now, there is a thesis that we may already have bottomed or bottomed according to previous years, if that makes sense. And the third thing is, well, very simply, other than the technical analysis, if you remember, I was saying that we're not gonna get a super cycle or business cycle, whatever people make up when the time comes. This was years ago, but I was saying we may see a shorter bear market. And that's what we may be seeing right now. Now, what invalidates this? What invalidates this? Because this is important. Other than price, which is the most important thing, we'll talk about that in just 1 second, and what to watch out for, because that is key. But one thing that could invalidate this is a prediction I made 1.5, 2 years ago, that we may get a crisis, recession, or even depression in 2026. That would be a black swan event, and that might take the prices down lower, at least for crypto stocks and so on. We don't know what Bitcoin's gonna do yet, if it's gonna work as gold and so on, we don't know that. But regardless, as soon as the news hits, in the beginning, you're gonna have a drop even in gold. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's what usually happens. And just to make sure you have this in your head, the markets is not the economy, and the markets can always do vice versa of what you believe it's going to do. So this is not a call. This is not saying if we have a recession, we're gonna go down to shit, but we might do temporarily. Remember, the market is not the economy, and the market can stay irrational more than you can say stay solvent. And the market can definitely do the opposite of what logic or what your thesis or what your macro and everything you're talking about says, okay? So we want to look at technical analysis to confirm macro, to confirm news that has not come yet. Remember, there's news for the masses and news for the classes. We only get the news for the masses. So we get the news that they want us to get, or it's already priced in, and that's why if you trade off of the news, you usually get wrecked. So let's look at price, let's look at what invalidates this, and let's look at what the exit is, okay? So let's talk about invalidation first. Invalidation will happen if this $80,000 psychological rejects and we come under the previous support range and make this resistance. If this happens, this pretty much tells you that we may have lower lows coming in. Now, this does not by itself mean that we're gonna continue into a bear market into the 40 or 50s. That would require this support to break. But because you want to protect yourself, you want to exit or put your stop loss or whatever, depending on your trading style, at this previous range over here. You can always get back in if it breaks out again, if that makes sense. So watch this level over here. Very, very important. Now, if this level holds, and we actually come up and break above the previous range over here, the previous bottom range over here, then chances of a bear market rally or continuation into a bull market is valid over here. But we do have resistance areas to look out for. And this pretty much falls in where summer is coming. And I do think the bottom will be in 2026. Now, what I wanna do is I wanna wait for summer, because around summer I will have a clearer picture with our charts if the bottom is already in or if we have more downside. Regardless, I do believe the bottom will be in 2026. And 60K was our first call, 40 to 50K level was our second call, and I did say we might actually get a wick down to the $38,000 level. But if you remember, we got in with 1/3 of our profits we took at 62K for that bounce at 60K, and I said that if that breaks to the downside, then we deploy more capital. If it goes up and it breaks certain resistances, then we're gonna get in with 2/3 of our cash position, which we did at $67,000 to $70,000. And now we're seeing this play right now. So, these are the levels to actually look out for. The bottom may be in, it's not confirmed yet, but there is a thesis to it. And a lot of people are 50-50 right now. A lot of people are 50-50, influencers are 50-50, and so on. I'm just gonna tell you that the picture is gonna be a lot more clear towards the summertime. That's why make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification button. By the way, if you've already done that, YouTube has been unsubscribing people from the channel, from other channels as well, that may have not watched videos recently, or you may be subscribed, but the bell button, it may have been downgraded to personalized instead of all. So please make sure you check that out. Make sure you have all, the bell button on all, so you can get notifications, because I'm gonna start making some calls pretty soon. And this is important because, again, if you want to get those calls, you don't want to be late, because you're gonna have very little time to react. But these are the levels we're looking at right now. Again, check out the factor line. It is in the description down below. It comes with my course, Invest, Trade, and Think Like the Crypto Factor. And if you want more details right now for the short term, if you want to know what to do right now, make sure you watch this video right here. This video talks about short-term and long-term price and can really help you trade and actually profit from these moves. So the combination of this video and this video is key. Watch that video and I will see you in that video.